All right, welcome back everybody to our episode. Learning English. I would say that the episode would be let's have fun. Okay, let's get ridiculous. Okay, it's all about fun. It's all about learning another language. It's gonna actually help your journey traveling, around the world to different places in the world, making new friends. So let's get back to our episode, okay? Before we actually dive into the episode, let's go back to the previous and recap what we did last time, the last episode. The last episode, I believe, is episode number 2. I was talking about the goal of learning the language. Whether you're taking classes at the school, or you're taking classes online, or you basically want to learn English, and you taking classes, at home by yourself online. So whatever the format that you be using to study the language, our goal, our ultimate goal of learning the language is that you be able to speak. So the goal is being fluent in the language. Okay, so be able to express yourself easily, express yourself with ease, and be able to sound very clearly so other people can understand it. That's what being fluent is all about. So our goal is not to have a perfect accent like a native speakers, have a perfect American accent, have a perfect UK accent, or the like. Because you know what, if it is our goal and we can never achieve that, it's kind of like make you disappointed. Even though having a perfect accent is not impossible, but I would say that it's not something that you can actually get it. So those heaven accent is kind of like heaven, is a heaven mark. Those types of mark cannot be easily erased. When you learn the language, you speak that language, people know exactly where you're coming from. Because of the accent, they can tell. Even people, the native speakers of English from a different region, whether you're from UK, the United States of America, or from Australia, they are native speakers of English, but they all have a different accent. Okay, so based on the accent, they can tell where you're from or where you're learning the language is from. And but if you come close to, like the native speaker, that would be perfect. That would be great. But it's not our goal. It's not my goal. So that's why when I never achieve that thing, it doesn't disappoint me. I still get excited. I'm passionate about learning language every day. So that would be the goal of learning English from our last episode. And I can understand why certain people prefer having a teacher, or certain school prefer recruiting a teacher from like United States and the UK, because it makes more sense. Let's say that if you have a plan to study abroad, coming to the UK or to the United States or to Australia, it's better. You might as well learn the language from the native speakers of that language of that country, because it helps you to get used to it. Okay, but today episode we will be talking about vocabulary. Okay, the previous one we're talking about a different part of the sentence, whether or not you focus on the front part, the subject, or the middle part, the phrasal verb, which to me is probably the most difficult, and the last part, which is the object part. It doesn't matter which part of the sentence you focus on. All of these different part of the sentence are made up of words, and those are vocabulary. So how do we build our vocabulary base? What is the right way to build the base of our vocabulary? If you started out with a very few words that how do you actually build? Which direction do you build? Because I read online, and they say that the average adult native speakers of English knows from, I don't know, from 20,000, and then different sources they say, like 30, 35,000, and people with the college graduate, the English college graduate know a little bit more, maybe 70 or 80,000 words. So I would say that, the average adult native speakers of English know probably, you know, ranging from 30 to 60 or 80,000 words. And do not let the number of words sort of like overwhelm you, throw you off, make you scared, because, I right now I'm know only, a few words, not even 100 words. And compared to that 100 word to 80,000 words, that's going to be a long way to go. Do not let that number sort of like make you feel like it's going to be a so long process. It takes so long, and that kind of like discourage you. Because you know what, I myself, even though I graduated from college, I don't think that I probably know 60,000 words. I don't think, not even 5,000. I probably know like 3,000, 4,000, but not even 5,000 words. So do not let that throw you off and make you scared, and you feel like, oh, I have zero English word. My vocabulary base is only zero. It's kind of like it's kind of like one word, right? And then you know the right word. It sort of set you a good start, a good foundation, a good foundational platform. Then you be able, to stand on those things, and then be able to acquire more words. And vocabulary isn't just the meaning of the word, isn't just the word that you know the meaning of, but also, most importantly for me, is how to pronounce them. When people talk about vocabulary, they kind of like focus on the meaning of the word. For me personally, the meaning of the word, it basically accounted only 20%, not even 20%, but the remaining percentage of that would be how to pronounce them clearly. So vocabulary is kind of like follow the 80/20 rule. 80% of it is how to pronounce them, how to say it, how to articulate, how to pronounce. And the 80%, the 20% would be know the meaning of it, know the context in which it is used. So that's the topics of our today episode. And remember, different languages have its own feature, English and Vietnamese. And each language has its own feature and a very different feature. And because different feature require a different practice, for you to practice those, language feature, you have to understand, the differences between one language platform from another language platform. One difference between Vietnamese and English is that English is kind of like multi-syllable language, whereas Vietnamese is one syllable. Like Vietnamese, we have one word, one syllable. It's just one syllable word. In English, you have multi-syllable languages. You have word like dictionary. It has, 4 different syllables. You have words like hospital. You have words like government, federation. Those are one word, but it actually has more than one syllable. Vietnamese is one syllable word, okay? And another difference between Vietnamese and English is that there's a sound in one language that the other doesn't have. Like in English, you have a P sound, right? P like paw, P like pen, P like pencil, P like Penske, right? And also, the end inside of the word, which is what we're going to focus on in today's episode. The end inside of the word is just as critical, just as important as the beginning sound of it. Because in Vietnamese, we don't have to focus so much about the end and sound of any word, but in English, you do. It's just as important. That sometimes you have to sort of like say that one word thoroughly, completely, entirely, before you move on to the next word. Let's say, just a very simple word, one syllable word, one English syllable word, like small, right? Because of the letter L at the end, you have to somehow curl your tongue up like small, right? Or tall. Remember, you go to a Starbucks coffee, you go to the Starbucks coffee shop, and they ask in your order, they normally ask for the size of it. Is that a venti, which is the largest size, to a grande, and then to a tall size, which is a small size. So small, tall, and by the end of those words ending with the letter L, you have to kind of like curl your tongue up, right? Like small, tall, and make sure you do that. And try to practice very, very slowly for the beginning, right? Initially at the beginning, try to do it very slowly. Try to make sure that by the time you're done pronouncing those words that require you to do. Not all of those words, not all English words require you to have the ending sound, but there are a lot of words that require you to do the ending sound, like the th sound, for example. The second one, like earth, like health, right? Like month, like how many months in a year, like bath, I'm taking a bath, right? So those, a lot of ending sound does not necessarily produce any sound, but it does require you to the placement of your tongue to sort of like curl up or have your tongue stick out in between the teeth. Because those are very, very, very important. Okay. Let's practice. So let's focus on the ending sound. 4 ending sound of English word. Let's say it's L. We already covered that in small or tall. The next one we just mentioned that is a th sound, where it requires you to have your tongue stick out in between the teeth, like month, like health, like bath, like earth. The earth, right? And then another one is the F sound, like half, right? Like lift, like of, like you have a different parts of the body. You have a different components of the machine, right? Of, and V. The V is kind of like, the F and the V sound is similar to the Vietnamese F and V sound. So we don't have to focus and spend much time focus on that, because in Vietnamese we already have those sounds. We have F like phở, right? And V like V, like ve, la va, like vang. So we already have those sounds. So it's just easier for us, when it comes to now pronouncing word with those sounds. It's kind of like to have or have, right? It's similar. It's probably similar to the differences between phở and vợ. Phở and vợ. Phở like tô phở, right? Vợ like sách vở, like vợ lòng, right? So when you take a look at it, phở and vợ is different, right? The same way with English too. You say have or have. I have. I'm having fun. 1.5 mile, 1.5 block down the street. So try to practice those things, like to drive home, right? Or I love you. Most of the Vietnamese learners, when they started out, they usually say I love, right? But no, it's I love you. I drive home. And the best way for me to think of, it's kind of like a drill that I come up to help these people. Use this kind of like, this is the way that I'm not sure it will help you, but I just thinking about it and I come up with this drill. So it's kind of like you say, I drive về nhà. I drive về nhà. And then you're going to say, I drive về nhà. I drive home. I drive home. I drive home, right? Or I love về you. I love về you. And then you say, I love you. It's kind of like when your mouth is in the position like, then you just say the next word. You drive home. Okay, so practice doing those stuff, and it started out very, very slow. I would say sometime, spend 1 week, or even 2 weeks, focus on one sound. Because think about that, 80,000 words that the average adult speakers of English knows. If you know how to say a P sound, you can say 100 word with a P sound. If you know how to say one P sound, you can say 100 word. You can say 1,000 word. You can say 10,000 words, right? Because you can translate within the same language, within the same platform. You can translate whatever you know. Stand on what you know. Translate that. So sometimes when they say 50,000 words, 60,000 words, it can only summarize and it can be broken down into a simplest form. Maybe it comes down to only 4 different sounds. You need to master those sounds. And then when you know those sounds, you can say 10,000 words with those sounds. Make it easier, right? And then I have another exercise, pronunciation exercise for you, which is this word right here. Light bowl. Light bowl, right? Light bowl. First of all, it's kind of like, if it is hard, try to break down into 4 different steps. Let's say you're gonna say lie. Lie is kind of like con lai. Lai lai giống tài tử điện ảnh Hàn Quốc. Lai lai giống tài tử điện ảnh Thái Lan, giống tài tử Ấn Độ. Lai, okay. And then bowl, 4 different steps. Lie, bowl. Bowl is kind of like ống bô, right? Kind of like cái bowl. And then the next one, the third step, you kind of like curl your tongue up, right? It's kind of like you elevate your tongue, right? And then bowl, and then close your mouth, right? Like bowl. It's kind of like, in Vietnamese we have a word like bông bụp, right? Bụp, bông bụp. It's hard for you to say any of these words, any of these Vietnamese words, without closing your mouth. You have to say it. Try to say bụp without closing mouth, but you can do it. The same way with lai bowl, right? So it's gonna be 4 steps to say this word. Lai, bowl, right? And make sure when it's kind of like you get to know your tongue and how to elevate your tongue, how to use your tongue to elevate your language skill, how to use your tongue, getting to know your tongue to empower your language skill, right? Think of it like you raise your tongue up like an elevator or an escalator, okay? Like in this word, when you curl your tongue up, when you say bo, and then you curl your tongue up, the tips of your tongue should touch the back of your top teeth, right? Think of it like an escalator. You raise it up, you curl it up, okay? You touch that, and then close your mouth. Lai, bo, right? And then once you get very good at this 4 step, you try to speed it up a little bit. Try to synchronize the second step and the third step. Bowl, 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 lai bowl, okay? It's kind of like, by the time you're done pronouncing the O sound, the tips of your tongues already touch the back of your top teeth, right? It's kind of like you're on the train, and the train, as soon as the train arriving at the Penn station, you already done your task, all at the same time. Lai bowl, lai bowl, lai bowl, lai bowl. Very good. Practice that. Perhaps just practice this one word for the next 2 weeks, okay? And all we have is just 4 different ending sound. That's gonna take you like two months to master that. And remember, if you know how to say one word, you can say 100 words. If you know how to say one word, you can say 1,000 words. If you know one word, you can say 10,000 words. Think of it. Imagine that 80,000 words that the average adult speakers of English know can be summarized and can be broken down to the simplest form. It's only 4 words in 2 months, you know, and then you're gonna master that. English is easier than we think. English is much simpler than you think. In 2 months, you'll be able to master all this sound. And you know what? Voila! You'll be able to speak and pronounce any word. If you come up to the new word, you translate. You just use whatever you already know. You stand on what you do know. And then basically translate into it. Okay? So remember, you know, vocabulary, you know, it doesn't matter which part of the sentence. The front part, the subject, the middle part, the phrasal verb, or the subject. They are made up of words, vocabulary. Which direction should you build your vocabulary base? You should start with the basic one and then try to get to the complex one. With the small word to the big word, right? With the most frequently used word to the least frequently used word. Okay? Don't spend time studying the big word because chances are you're not going to see them. But if you spend time studying the most basic word, chances are you're going to see them more, rehearse. And the more you see, the more you remember. The more you do, the more you remember. So you know what? Make sure that you actually study and you build your tree of vocabulary, build your base, you know, in the right order, in the correct direction. So remember that vocabulary is 80-20, which means that 80 is how to pronounce. 20 is the meaning of the word, the context in which it is used in a sentence. So, well, last night was a Good Friday. So tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow will be an Easter. So happy Easter, everybody. And remember, English is easier than we think. It's much simpler than we think. 80,000 words can be broken down, you know, can be simplified into only 4 different sounds. You know? All of this one. Thank you and happy Sunday. Great weekend.